Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host
Chip.
Chip.
Up,
what is
everybody?
going on, Chip? Hopefully you had a great weekend. Everybody out there had a great weekend as well, because tonight there's actually some massive news that we're going to be talking about in relation to Texas and some new legislation that was just signed by the governor, as well as some things that are going on down in Mexico. Another big question, though, and this came from a Twitter conversation: can XRP replace fiat currency? And will cryptocurrency start to compete with a country's direct currency and their national sovereignty? I think there's a lot of that's going on, but there's so much more. That was just a really cool title. We're going to cover a ton here tonight, Chip. You ready to do this thing?
Welcome to On the Chain with Jeff and Chip.
All right. You're muted. Can't hear you. All right. Now he's definitely muted. See if I can hear you now. Can we hear you? I can't hear you. I don't know what happened. I do not know what happened. Uh-oh. Hopefully, Chip, you can come back in and get this restored, and then we can all hear you. And then we'll figure this out. But so want to start by just giving everybody a great shout out for coming in here, supporting On the Chain. There's so many great things that we are covering. And actually, there was an awesome comment waiting for us when we were logging in and we are getting this thing set up. And here's the comment. Still can't hear you. I don't know what happened. It's as though your mic just all of a sudden cut out and disappeared on us. But Ricky A, he wrote, "Thank you guys. Love the consistency and quality of the content y'all make." And I'll tell you what, there has been many comments just like that. So Ricky, truly appreciate you. Appreciate everybody else out there as well. You guys are outstanding, and thanks for constantly, coming in here with the awesome comments, the awesome conversation as well. It's really uplifting to see all of the great things that are going on. So a little self-promotion there for Mixed Mix, aka,
There we
which
go.
is
You hear me
great.
now? Yeah.
There he is.
Hit my mixer board and the sound went down, so I don't know what happened.
Oh,
It's looking weird.
you shut the volume off.
You're like looking at everything on the computer. It's like the old analog slider, Jeff. I must have threw my notebook at it, knocked the levels down, and well, there you
How it
go.
goes.
No,
That
thank you
is
for that,
how it
Ricky. That
goes.
was really awesome, man. Really appreciate you guys. And as always, yeah. So the microphone. Well, you know what? I'm actually using a new build I'm using Chrome Canary. So Chrome Canary is always like the latest build, and it's a lot faster and it's a lot less memory intensive. So that's one of the reasons we're using that.
Awesome.
But Jeff,
and you got your system fixed too.
Yeah, I think I got some things fixed. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that should hopefully, potentially, possibly, maybe fix it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
What's up, Crypto Bird Dog?
Hey, what's up, Bird Dog? Long time, right? Long time with the Bird Dog. We haven't seen you in a long time. It's so funny because we were playing the video that we showed Congress, and of course, you're featured on that video. We had showed that maybe 2 weeks ago, whatever. The one that was made for Warren Davidson's office. So, but Jeff, this whole idea, it's so funny what the IMF is doing with El Salvador, right? They come out and they start like, well, you guys owe us a lot of money, and we got to control you, and we got to do all this stuff, and I'm like, I thought it was a sovereign country. They can make their own sort of make up what they want to do as they want to, as they go, but apparently not. So the IMF is trying to put their thumb on them. Now we have Mexico, then we've got Texas. This thing is accelerating, and man, the future looks bright. So bright, I got to wear shades, Jeff.
It does. Where are they? But no, you're right. You're 100% right, man. I mean, you look at this, and the fact that Mexico is now also looking at a way to legalize Bitcoin. And eventually, it starts with Bitcoin. it'll spread out to other digital assets just based on the framework, just based on how things work. But I'm really excited about seeing Mexico move in that direction. I was excited to see El Salvador. I was excited even when the Bahamas and Bermuda and all these others, the Marshall Islands, when they started getting into this space. Wasn't so excited when the US was talking about a digital dollar. However, I am very excited to see some very, very key legislation that was just signed by Governor Abbott in Texas.
Yes.
And that is, I mean, we saw what happened over in Wyoming. We've seen it in Idaho. We've seen it in other places, but Texas, this is impressive.
When Florida, Jeff, that's what I want to know. What's going on with DeSantis falling behind? And we've got a Miami mayor and a Tampa mayor, both, Mayor Castor and is like really into the crypto, but we need the legislation. We have to be able to as a state. But it's funny because now it's like it seems like they're competing. Abbott will do something, then Governor DeSantis, and Florida will do something, and they're like back and forth, kind of offsetting each other. But we've always said, that competition is good. When it comes to XRP moving stuff cross border, they're not the only ones, but that's okay because when you have competition in the space, it puts everybody on notice. Everyone's on their toes. Everybody wants to deliver. Everybody wants to innovate. We saw David Schwartz come up with this proposal about adding a federated side chain to the XRPL, which will allow it to do with smart contracts, all kinds of cool stuff. And, this kind of stuff, this innovation, you have HBAR, you have Algo, there's a lot of things out there in the payment space, or not necessarily only payments, but the whole idea is that competition is good. The more projects we have, like they say, a rising tide floats all boats. And that's what we want. We want to win together in the digital asset space. We don't want to be maxis. Yeah, pick your favorites. It's like if you're a Formula One, you got your driver, right? If you're your favorite football team, I was watching some Euro Cup. I was watching some Euro Cup. I said that for you, Jeff. I don't watch Formula One, but that was for you. Just like, because Formula One's big around the world. It's not big at my household, but what is the Euro Cup. And it was cool. I was watching the Netherlands. They were up 2-0. And I watched England, beat Croatia. I'm sorry about that from anyone.
Saw Tampa Bay lose to the Islanders today.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's always something there's always sport, some kind of sport going on. You can check out and watch. But that's it. You have your favorites, but you don't want to have, you need to have it all. Everybody succeeds.
That's right. Yep. So, hey, Chip. So I'm looking at, you brought up an important point. Texas always in competition with Florida, each one trying to one up the other, each, moving in a direction of rapid, accelerated economic growth. So, we do know right now that the digital asset space is growing very, very quickly. When I reference digital asset, we're obviously focused on cryptocurrency and blockchain. So we know the direction. Governor Abbott, with the legislation he just signed, knows the direction it's going in. I have to believe DeSantis is already getting up to date on what's happening here. We have two big states, right? So population of Florida, probably around 23 million people. Population of Texas, 29 million plus or minus, maybe it's at 30 million. Population of California is around 33 million. Put that to the side right now, but between Florida and Texas, I mean, you're so close to about 20% of our of the total population of the U.S. It's probably a little less, maybe 17%, 18%, whatever that number is. But that's a big number, and Florida and Texas is where everybody's moving. Anybody who's anybody right now that was treated unfairly in all these other peripheral states, they're looking at Texas and Florida saying, man, these guys have got their act together and we're moving there. We're bringing our businesses there and we're bringing our money there and we're going to live the good life.
What's the overarching feature for the two states out of the 50? What's the overarching sort of attraction that's bringing everybody here? Freedom. freedom, right?
Economic
And
freedom,
economic
personal freedom.
freedom, personal freedom, tax freedom. The tax is low in Texas. I don't think they have a state tax. We don't have a state tax here. Meanwhile, you can pay 8.5 to 11% if you live in Manhattan for state tax, the federal tax, everything else. So people get freedom on that level. So if you're outside the U.S., you realize, whoa, what's so special about these two places? What's so special is the people who enjoy freedom. They want to keep it that way. They end up going to school board meetings and fighting for stuff that they want for their kids. They're not going to let the
Oh,
government plow them over.
yeah.
So there
So
you go.
man, so what do you think about this stuff in Texas? So now they have a state charter that banks can now hold Bitcoin, but they can start uh, they're actually able to custody digital asset cryptocurrency. So they're starting to make that. It's going to be interesting to see the competition between Texas and Wyoming right now.
Yeah, so you have Texas, Wyoming, and I have to imagine that right on the heels of that, like you said, Jeff, it's got to be Florida, right? The only thing we're missing is legislation, but I think they can push it through fast. I mean, you had Governor Abbott comes out and says, "Hey, I'm signing this into law," just like that.
That's right.
And the bank's charter, the charter that the regulators in Texas allowing this, I think it's a big move because as Texas and Florida go, so does the nation, and this is happening in different parts of the world. You're starting to see this in other places too, where they're standing up and they're saying, look, fiat's dead. They're trying to prop this dead fiat up. And then Cuba just announced this past weekend that if you're a tourist, do not show up with USD. Now they'll take card payments, but the card payment will be converted. They don't want you going there with USD. They don't recognize USD anymore. And so that's it. So there's a lot of other countries that are not recognizing the US dollar. And it's so weird they call it the US dollar, right? Because on the note itself, it says Federal Reserve. It's not a US dollar. It's not a sovereign currency. We don't own it. The government doesn't own it. We borrow it from the Federal Reserve, and then we owe them for interest. That's what it is. It's a system built on debt. Most central banks have the same similar system. So central bankers are really kind of hitting the panic button these days because crypto finally, I mean, the banks for hundreds of years have basically had the rule of the land, right? If you either play or you choose to not play, but you kind of at some point have to engage. Now, this is all happening and going down outside the banks. We're banking ourselves. We've got DeFi coming in where we will become the bank. We'll earn the yield, and that's what's super exciting about the space right now.
Yeah, no, it's I agree. And so some of the things that we're seeing when we want to see mainstream adoption of digital asset, whether it's Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, whatever. Look at the top group. Then there's a whole bunch of others out there. The first thing that we need is a little bit of regulatory clarity. We need to have an understanding of the rules of engagement, not just in the investment side of it, but when you're rolling out your project and you're developing the business model and you're, and then you have the digital asset connected to it. And you really have to understand. And so from Texas side of it, and this from the article, it was interesting. There was a tweet that came out from Governor Abbott, and he said, "I just signed a law that puts virtual currency under the Texas Uniform Commercial Code to be a secured transaction. It defines virtual currency, establishes when a person acquires a right in it, and when a person has control over it." And I think it's so important that they're understanding the guideline for cryptocurrency business in the state of Texas. Now, he didn't come out with, punishment and punitive type language. He's saying we want to attract business here. We want you to grow business here. Unlike in New York where they're finding mechanism to punish anybody who invests in digital asset or punish those companies that are trying to build in this space, like an Uphold or a Celsius, or a Bitcher or a Binance or a Coinbase or what have you. They're always finding a way to twist it a little further, take a little money out of the pocket of the company, take a little more money out of the pocket of the consumer. That's what happens in those punitive type states. But then when you look at a true state, which is what we were expecting with the Token Taxonomy Act, the same type of feel-good guidelines and guidance, which is what Governor Abbott just signed into law in Texas, which is that feel-good guidance. Here's how you're going to be successful in our state with cryptocurrency. That to me is the biggest news. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to just put this one little thing up there, because if we're not going to get it on a national level, the next best thing that can happen is like Wyoming, Texas, Florida. These are really what's going to push it down. So I wanted to read this like little snippet here where it talks about the Texas Department Banking, the state regulatory agency, supervising financial service, issued a notice on Thursday stating that local banks are permitted to provide crypto. But I wanted to focus in on this one statement. It says the agency noted that Texas banks may provide customers with virtual currency custody services so long that the bank has adequate protocols in place to effectively manage the risks and comply with any applicable laws, right? So they're going full force into it, Jeff. They're not going into it saying, well, like you said, well, if you get off the wrong foot, they're like, look, just comply. We're going to start working on some state stuff. But this is where you've got companies moving to Wyoming. Why? Because it's friendly. It's friendly to business. It's also friendly to cryptocurrency. And this is the kind of stuff that that we want and need, right? I mean, otherwise, yeah, that's I kind of lost my train of thought there because I was looking at something else.
No,
There,
that's 100% spot on. And so but here, Chip, it was interesting. So one of the things that I put on the thumbnail for tonight was XRP, a replacing fiat currency, and I kind of came about this. I want to get your thoughts on it, and then we can move on into a lot of these other things that we're talking about. But, I saw this. This is Chino XRP. He had posted this tweet, and, I'm looking at the tweet. Whoop.
it's the wrong one, man. What happened to Jeff? I think Jeff removed himself from the thing accidentally. He'll probably come back in. But anyway, this was kind of weird. You always see these amazing, there's always a graphic that you see. And I wanted that you removed yourself, right? I knew it. I've done it.
Like, oh, I put up the wrong tab. Oh, I put up the wrong.
And you removed yourself.
I went to click the other thing and I hit the X by mistake.
First of all, this is Cointelegraph. They always have like some cheesy graphic or some like cartoonish look of, somebody. But I just love this because it captures the culture really well. This is the Mexico lawmakers aim to follow the example of neighboring countries about Bitcoin. I just thought that's such a beautiful graphic. It totally captured the the local sort of art, the way they put everything in there. There's the the tongue, and you got the Bitcoin in there. I just thought it was a really cool graphic. It's even way cooler than the actual article itself. But anyway, let me remove that. And then let's go. Let's go, Jeff. What do you got there? You have the next one up there?
Yep. All right, yeah, let me try to throw this up here again
here,
without
here, right here. Is this the Chino one right here?
Oh yeah, there you go. So anyhow, so I'm looking at this and he says, pay with XRP. Y'all ready for this? And the idea is that, hey, you know what, XRP and some of the other digital assets becoming a regular everyday currency. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about it. And I said, you know what? I don't really think that this is going to happen in the short term. People might put it up there. It's kind of like the QR code in the beginning, is more, for the, just a sense of, hey, we've got it, we've done it. But there's going to be too much pushback from the governments, from the Fed. We're already starting to see that happen where they don't want direct competition with the sovereign currency. So there's going to be resistance to, hey, let's pay with XRP. And no, you can't, they're going to say you can't do that because you have to use the US dollar within the sovereign, borders of this country. So I think that we're going to see a little bit more resistance. But I honestly think there's way more to all of this than just using XRP as a transactional, everyday retail currency. Because, what we're looking at is a digital asset revolution. It's about the projects. It's about the speed of transaction. It's about the movement of money. It's about the transparency of business. It's about, people able to being able to invest and leverage their money and make, big yield on their own money. I mean, there's so much more to it than just using XRP for everyday retail. Honestly, I don't really care about that so much. I don't think that that's that important. XRP, the XRPL, the ODL, all of that for moving money cross border. But I think a lot of this technology will end up behind the scenes transactionally and not in our retail everyday businesses. I could be completely off base with that, but I just have this sense that we're going to get a lot of pushback, from the governments, and we don't want to be in that position. We want it to be a behind the scenes thing.
Right. And the best way to do it behind the scenes, look, I mean, the best way to do anything is to tap in with legacy stuff, right? It's kind of like you jump in your car, you turn it on, it works. You don't have to know how a combustible engine works. You don't have to know how the Tesla battery powers your car and how it every time you drive, it's like going down. You don't have to know that it's nothing more than a glorified golf cart. You don't have to know that. Just you push the button, you hit the you hit the pedal, and it goes somewhere, right? So this is how the adoption is going to work right here. You're going to have something like an Uphold card where you hook it up and you tell it on the back end how to play. The adoption going the other way is it's a fun dream, and it's like, yay, we'll pay with XRP. But you know what? You show up at a terminal and you go like, yeah, I'll buy a $300 item. You swipe your card, and guess what? You just bought it because now it's using XRP. It's doing the conversion, and then it's going to change it to fiat. And that's the better way to do it. This is the way it's going to be done. This is exactly how the card's going to work, because you can go ahead and say, I want XRP right there. That's what I want. Or I want to use Ether, or maybe the BAT token, whatever it might be. You can also program it to use if you're holding euros, or the British pound, Chinese yuan, whatever it is. You are there. There's 40 plus other utility tokens, and this is how you do it. You show up with this card right there. The other one, it's interesting, it's fun, Jeff, but you're right. And people are like, what's XRP? Because you know what? It's hard to explain that to people, but you know what you don't have to explain? Those two symbols right there. Those two symbols right there. That is MasterCard.
Right. Yeah, MasterCard, Visa, Amex, whatever it might be. I agree 100% with you. Now, the thing is, you might be able to tap your XRP account. That's up to you. You want to spend your digital asset, but it's going to transact through that card, and the seller is going to get paid out in a fiat currency that is Fed backed or government backed. It's either going to go to a digital representation of the dollar, a digital representation of the euro, whatever it might be. It's going to that fiat. It's going to go to that stable fiat. And the reason being is because, again, government interaction, within the country, plus retail sellers or sellers in general are not going to want to sell a product and collect a speculative, asset that has fluctuation in the value of that currency. I think it would be way too difficult. Imagine, you buy it, you don't want, now you're going to have, if you start accepting XRP or Bitcoin or anything else, you're going to have to figure out how to transact it or transfer it back into your stable currency immediately. So why would you want to even hold it? Why would you put yourself in that position? Now, if Bitcoin moving forward is going to be a store of value, it's still going to have expectation of movement. XRP will still, even if it goes up to $10 or $100 instead of going up to $1, it's still going to have fluctuation. We're seeing that right now. So it could go up 10, 20%. It could go down 10, 20%, unless, everyone's expecting that all the digital assets in the space are going to become stable. Exactly. And they're all going to be held. People, that's just how it is. It's like right now, are you going to sell a product and collect gold? Hey, I'm asking, I'm selling this phone and I want 100 gold coins. I want 100, whatever. You might like to, but it's not practical. It's not something that you're going to do. It's just, I could be completely off base. I'm just, looking through the way this is going to unfold.
No, but I think there are some newer ways that are going to come in. Like there was a cool thread today. Weeds to Win, obviously you know him. He's a developer over in the Netherlands, and he has this the Zum. I actually like the Zum wallet a lot. I've been using it. I like it. But so what he's coming up with here is a Zum profile, a pro profile page. This is early beta, but this is kind of cool. Your photo will be there. You can put a little bit of blurb in there, but then you see where he has his Wietze at Zum or the $sign Zum me. That's his what do you call it? Paystring. That's his paystring identifier. So you can get a paystring identifier. And so there was he said it'd be relatively easy for the Zum wallet to become a verification provider. Our platform already supports deep link flows, etc., and return an account signature, which is cryptographic proof, which is kind of a cool thing. Mickey B. Fresh chimed in and said that would be awesome for the community. We have our self-sovereign digital identity and credentials linked to a paystring or any domain address inside of our Zum wallet or another crypto wallet. Can you explain security advantages of adding domain addresses linked to a global ID of Zum? And that's that. And he said, well, Zum Pro users with opt-in with KYC, know your customer, and your profile page will show up in Zum when you're transacting, and your verified name, your badge, your profile icon, instead of like a hash icon. So again, what we're doing is we're moving from the hashes and the symbolology to people and humanology. And that's the whole idea of the adoption of paystring. You don't have to know the big long address, and you can set up paystring the way you want to receive how you want on your side. And this way, you know, you're dealing with the right person when you're sending funds, not some imposter, not a scammer. They send you the exact, so it's kind of in a weird way. And I asked, how do you activate the Zum Pro subscription? Because I saw it was beta, but I thought there was a way to get on the beta program. And Uitza says you can't yet. It'll be available later this year, but there will be a Zum Pro profile page where you can get and activate the subscription. So it's what they're planning on rolling out. And I was like, well, thanks, because I was trying to figure out how to activate it. I'm going like, there's got to be a button here, like to be able to enter. Because you know why, Jeff? I wanted to go ahead and grab my name on that because, and he says there'll be a couple of beta rollouts, limited a number of users at first, bit by bit, KYC, and then separately transaction push notifications. Then so they're building this out, obviously. So they've got a roadmap of how they want to do it, and then they want to wrap it up in one package. And all of that becomes Zum Pro. And then he said this way, the time it goes live later this year, all the components are tested in the wild. The users getting early access are the ones who order the Zum plus the Tangent card, either the 4 or 5 pack, and they come with early pro access. And these cards, again, another cool idea of you basically on these cards. Now, this card isn't something you go transact with. This is your keys. So this lets you hold your keys to your ledger in a convenient card that you take with you. So you have it on your person, right? So it's always with you. The embedded chip creates and holds your private key within the card itself, making it a very secure way to manage your funds. And then over here, they talked here about put out a whole thing about the Tangent cards, making the crypto space safer, but also more user-friendly. So you have that on a card or multiple cards or more people. It says the chip generates a private key while powered using NFC with your iOS or Android device. That means the cards are shipped without a private key on them, and then the private key will never leave that card. Chip using Tangent cards offers bank grade security and has been fully audited. So that's it's pretty cool. And then so if you pop over here, you can see you can get one of these cards. So one card right there is about 25 USD. That's it's got a Zum brand on it, and that's your key. So again, Jeff, the whole idea of carrying that key with you or putting that somewhere where that key, a digital signature is on there, you can still have the backup. But again, it's getting a little bit easier. And here you go. Here's a 3-pack, and that's $60, and so on and so forth.
I don't know. I like the idea, but I think it sounds good. I think it's honestly, I think it's one of those solutions in search of a problem, because that doesn't exist. Because do I want to start buying these cards to hold my keys to use a wallet when I'm out on the road running around? I really don't. I don't want their product. I want another third-party product that can be used with all of my wallets, that can be used across the board. I don't want just theirs that can specifically unlock only their product.
Yeah, but I don't need that card to. That's
I'm going to run around, and I get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to run around with this thing, or I'm going to run around with a 2FA on my phone, or I'm going to run around with something that's global, that's agnostic to every platform. I don't just want their card.
But I think you're missing one point. I've got the Zum wallet on my phone right now. I got biometrics set up on it. That's not my key. I open it. I've got passwords. I can do 2-factor. I never have a problem having this. the key itself, you know, that backup key that you have to
No, I
save
get it.
somewhere.
Yep.
That's it. When do you use that? It's rare you're going to need to
But
restore or
but why do
whatever.
you want to pay them for their key? Why are you going to pay them 30, 50, $70
Because I
for a
like the idea
plastic
of
representation of the key? I mean, you can keep your keys secure
right.
elsewhere.
You could, but the
I
fact
don't.
is, it's bank grade security. I like the fact that it's you know, that you have it. You can you're still going
I'm
to
gonna
write
use
it
my
down.
ledger.
It's not going to be
I'm
like
gonna
you're
use
not
my
going to have it
ledger.
written down.
Rather use my ledger. I'd rather, find another, solution to it that I can unlock all of them. And I don't want to pay
I'm not sure
them
that's practical because you're going to deal
$70.
with yeah, but I mean, why would that be practical? I mean, the thing is you know, every wallet you use, you got that backup restoration phrase. I like the idea of keeping it on a card. I always have it backed up on
Can
paper
their
as
card
well.
be used across the board? Can you use it for everything or only
I
on
know
their
you can use
platform?
I know you can use Tangent cards across the board. I know you can use it says Tangent already offers XRP cards. One could use them for regular XRP payments. The XRP ledger is much more to offer than simple XRP payments. IOUs on a decentralized exchange, account settings, multi-signing, escrow. They're all supported by Zum. So it's yeah, you can't like well, all they did was brand theirs. I mean, Tangent cards have been around for a little bit of time. That you can use one for XRP and you can use that. You can back up your key on that as well. So it can be used in other locations.
Uh, I don't know. I'm still not seeing it.
Yeah, well, I like it a lot, man. I think it's a really good idea because it's a nice feature. It's cool. I like they're actually thinking about stuff that would be that you can actually carry because I mean some people might prefer that. Some people want to put on a piece of paper and hope that your house doesn't burn down and the safe that's in it is
Well,
rated
what's
for that.
interesting though, going the route of the cards. I was my friend just got a new BMW M3 Expedition or Expedition, not the competition, the M3 competition series. And I went to check out his car, and I said, "Here, let me see the key real quick." I was going to start it up, and he hands me a card. It's basically
Yeah,
like a credit card. He goes, "No,
or your
this is my.
phone.
Here's how you start it. You can just put the key in your pocket, so it's no longer a fob. I know you can start it with your phone and all that stuff." And I was like, oh, man, yeah,
My
everything is
youngest,
moving in the direction of these cards,
well,
and it's pretty interesting.
well, one of the funniest things is when we were down to the Bitcoin 2021, we went back to your house, you pulled out keys and you opened the door. And I thought that was so odd because I haven't used the key to open my door in over 10 years. And my youngest daughter, who just turned 17, I don't think she remembers a time when she ever had a key because that was part of it. Kid comes home from school, couldn't get in, you hide a key somewhere. So no, we stopped using keys about 10 years ago. So it was like when you put the key in the door, it was just odd to me because we don't use keys in our house. Everything's all modern tech, Jeff. We're all
My
down.
house is off the grid.
Well, my house is not off the. Nobody's off the grid, Jeff, unless you have your own, unless you're generating your own electricity, unless you're
I've got a hamster wheel out back.
Well, there you go. I mean, that should get you something. Hey, another one I wanted to put up here, another tweet that I thought was pretty fun was Michael Saylor he's pretty funny. So yeah, Michael Saylor comes out with this. He goes, "We finally have the technology with Bitcoin to empower billions of poor and working class people with property rights, economic security, and freedom from financial repression by the state and institutions. The fact that we use electricity to do this should be the least of our concerns." Of course, Peter Schiff, Mr. Goldbug, Mr. Bitcoin denier, comes in and says, "We do have the technology, but without Bitcoin. A digital currency backed by gold would actually accomplish these goals if governments would allow it. Such a currency would actually be a threat to financial repression by the state and institutions and use far less electricity." So, he's kind of making an interesting point there, although I don't necessarily know I agree. Well, I don't know. What are your thoughts on where he's going with this as far as being backed by gold?
We've seen a couple of different assets that are backed by gold. We were just looking at one the other day. We pulled it up. Someone had mentioned it.
Well, we had somebody on the show that was back. It was a gold backed.
Yeah. We've had a couple of them that we've looked at. Like you said, we've had them on. So I like the idea. I mean, why not? If you can prove that for every whatever your asset's worth, you have it backed by gold. I mean, it's if you can exchange it one for one, and you can say, hey, in some safe, somewhere in Switzerland, we've got $100 million stashed away in gold. Then hey, that's awesome. Now you're providing, instant value to that digital asset. And it's not necessarily, stable in value, but the value that it's stable to is gold, because it's exchangeable, just like when the US dollar was backed by gold.
No,
And it was
exactly.
X amount of dollars for whatever number of ounce of gold, whatever so
Well,
it's,
that XR,
it's an
look at this.
interesting project. Yeah.
XRP Darren replied with this. He said, be it agnostic, the digital class, quite an exciting concept. It is possible to make payment with gold on the Ripple network. Over the last 3 years, whilst developing the technology, Ripple secured the same asset custodian for gold, now working with the Canadian Mint and a company called Gold Bullion International, which people know, GBI, are already issuing balances on the Ripple ledger. There are plenty of custody assets for Merrill Lynch. Payments and transfers could get very easy and quick. And the whole point of this is that the way Bitcoin is going to become used as a real, if you're going to use it as a payment system, you're not going to use the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network is a farce. It's a joke. You got to pre-fund it. It's not a workable solution. But if they get the sidechain work and use the XRPL, look, spend the bits app. You want to send Bitcoin from point A to point B in 4 seconds with a low transaction?
Center across
Spend the
the ledger.
bits.
Yep.
That's how you
No,
do it, right? You're not going to do it with Bitcoin's native. It's not that part of it's not going to work.
No, and that always comes back to, all of these technologies have a purpose. If it doesn't have a purpose, then it's a pointless technology. So Bitcoin, at this point in time, we talked about this the other day. The primary objective was getting rid of banks, maybe. But if you read through the white paper and everything that I think they've accomplished the objective with Bitcoin, because look at what has followed Bitcoin. It was opening up this decentralized concept of digital money. It started in one little project and it's morphed into thousands and thousands of projects all over the world. Now, if you look at Bitcoin today, based on what it has moved down its path in history to become a primary store of value as its use case in the digital asset space. So that's what it's good for. Store of value. Like you said, it's not going to move across the Lightning Network, but if you do want to move it, why not use a technology that's now been built in order to facilitate the movement and lesser the cost of it, speed up the transaction time, utilize a technology built on the XRP ledger that can move all assets. And that brings you to the point of the XRP ledger, brings you to the point of XRP. Why was it made? It was made to move money. That's it. And it was made to do it efficiently, inexpensively, and rapidly, and that was the purpose. And that's why they built within the XRP ledger, they built in the exchange platform. This is why MoneyGram was utilizing the ODL for foreign currency exchange, because it was almost like instant settlement of foreign currency. It makes a lot of sense. And then you keep moving through all the technologies, Ethereum, and then Flare when it rolls out, and on and on and on. We're starting to see it. Look at what Polygon's doing, Chip. Polygon understood that Ethereum was flawed. Well, here you go. Here's a solution.
Right. They fixed it. It's the same way that Bitcoin couldn't get there. Now I know they're making their first upgrade in 3 years, kind of like addresses part of the privacy side of things. But again, it's not going to be, it's going to be little tiny tweaks here and there. Sometimes, you see a tweet that's so simple but says so much. I love this. I follow FinTwit, and so it says, "Hey, retail investors having fun trading with friends. SEC manipulation." It's like the what's that the whole thing that started the whole GameStop thing. That's really what it is, right? A bunch of people trading with friends, learning how to the Wall Street bets, right? They were trading with friends, and here comes the SEC manipulation. They're always like so negative, Jeff. They're always going to see everything as being an issue, right? I mean,
hey, Tony Fisk is back.
What up,
I'm not
Fisk?
sure where he went, but he's back.
I don't know where he went.
Fisk. I don't know, but Tony Fisk is sporting a brand spanking new hoodie.
That's right, he is. Damn right,
on the chain XRP hoodie, and I know he's loving it.
That's right.
So, hey, since you brought it up, I think it was about this part of the episode.
Yeah.
Chip, I'm gonna call up the SEC. I'm using their technology.
Yeah, that's what they.
I'll try to give them a call. Do you remember the number? Was it like 9?
I think it's 1970s. That's where we that 1970s we live. I think that's what it's that's the phone number.
All right.
See if you can get them on there and then take that handset and smash them upside the head, knock some
Hit him with this thing.
Start cracking some skulls. And then so this is kind of funny because David Schwartz came out and said, Uniswap, because Uniswap's a big deal. He goes, Uniswap is not DeFi and it's not decentralized. And I was like, whoa, I saw his tweet storm going up yesterday. There's a cool article about it right here. But he said, and this is interesting, Jeff. I want to get your take on this because he says Uniswap version 3 is not DeFi if some person or group has an enforceable legal right to tell others how they can and can't use it. It's not decentralized. True or false?
Wow. That's
right?
Interesting. Yep.
It's not decentralized. So how can it be called DeFi? They're using Uniswap. They go to V3 and it's not. And he's making up a really good point here. He says he believes the protocol is centralized because it's controlled by Uniswap Labs. They get to choose where it runs, which is sufficient to provide total control. The executive also mentioned that he built the very first decentralized exchange in the XRP ledger back in 2012 with Ripple co-founder Arthur Brito, which nobody's ever seen a photo of, Jeff. This is like, he's like just some secret guy. And then he ended up over at, was it PolySign? Where did he end up at? He ended up over somewhere.
I forget exactly. Maybe he's Satoshi.
I don't know. It could be. It's like a very, so it says Uniswap V3 was launched in late March to much fanfare, introducing such features as concentrated liquidity. Good Lord, I couldn't read that. He says the protocol's developer Uniswap Labs, funded by massive venture capital firms such as Andreessen Horowitz and Paradigm Venture, and they're behind all the big projects in crypto. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. It's like, sorry, your DeFi Uniswap is not DeFi. And oh yeah, by the way, it's decentralized.
I like it.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. I thought that was pretty good.
Yep. So, hey, so there's been some interesting developments, even within with some of these other exchanges like Uphold. I think Uphold just recently added limit orders. For the first time. Is that did I read that right?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit different than a limit order because it is, I'm trying to find the hang on a second, let me find the actual story. They're smart orders. Now this is the first that I'm aware of crypto exchange to actually do this. We'll pull it up here. Let me pull it up. But it said a traditional limit order is when you buy or sell an asset and you hit that specific price or better, but it also requires users to lock in or freeze their funds at the time the order is placed until it's either filled or you cancel it. Uphold smart limit orders allow users to place up to 50 limit orders simultaneously without ever having to lock the funds in at the time the limit order is set up. So this is like a whole new deal, right? Because it doesn't lock it up. It says, and the thing is once one fills, it can cancel the rest of them out. It says it not only allows users to keep your funds liquid and make other trades in the market, but also provides optionally, since multiple orders can be set up with the same $100 stake, for example, for retail investors with limited fiat balances. This represents a giant leap forward because it provides the kind of optionality to set multiple limit orders that only institutional investors have traditionally enjoyed. So this is a big development. I'm surprised it's not getting more play out there. I mean, the thing is, like, Uphold also allows users to place smart limit orders across multiple asset classes, cryptos, equities, precious metals, carbon credits, and effects. So you could say sell Tesla and buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin is less than $50,000.
That's amazing.
Game changer, man.
When you can start structuring those types of automated buys, because now you're holding your asset, but you don't want to sell it until the other meets your buy. It's amazing. I mean, it is a game changer. Look at that tap line. I love Uphold. 589.
Yeah, Uphold's cool. I've heard mixed things. Awesome. Thank you for that support. He goes, a lot of people have said, like, well, I don't like it's confusing and this and that. But look, with this new smart order thing, I just think this is kind of cool to be going there and experiment with it. And if you set a couple different ones, the other thing is you lock your funds in. This one will only execute if it comes down to it. And it's kind of like you're programming your money, right? It's kind of like on a if you're doing hardcore programming, and you get the if then statement. If this happens, then do this. If this happens, do that. Now you get to go ahead and be a little bit more specific when you're actually doing this stuff. So I thought it was pretty cool.
These guys are so far ahead. I mean, when we talk about, revolutionizing finance, everything is shifting. It's a seismic shift in finance that we've never seen before. I think what we're seeing now is on par with the first time they used actual like paper money or actual coins that were minted with real value. I mean, that was like a seismic shift in how things used to work, especially when it was backed by the regime in power. Like if you go back, to the pharaohs and the Roman Empire and all that,
Pharaohs.
they had coins minted.
They did.
And you would have this, the Caesar was minted onto the coins.
Right.
I've got some of those coins, rolling around here somewhere.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. You look at them and you're like, holy cow! Just think about how old those coins were, but how it changed transaction between people. Somebody else was saying here, if you had to roll around with gold in your pocket, you wouldn't be able to carry it.
Right.
But that's how people used to have to buy things before. If you wanted to move value, what are you going to come up with all this gold? It's not possible. And it can be changed. But now, man, it's so impressive to change, the way we're doing things, and for Uphold to be able to orchestrate something like this, DeFi to orchestrate it, what Ripple is doing to orchestrate the technologies. It's so different. I mean, it's amazing where we're going to be in 5 or 10 years.
Well, it gets even better. The very first limit order to take the fill takes the allocated capital. So if you have a multiple limit order and they're all placed simultaneously, the first limit order to fill takes all the allocated capital, and subsequent orders will fail unless you top off the balance. But the thing is, you're not locking up your capital. And if that thing never hits, you're not worried about it. So you don't really care. The user still has the funds in the account after the first order has been filled. The remaining orders will remain open until the allocated funds have been used. So again, this is a big one right here. U.S. customers have the added benefit that funds can be pulled automatically from their bank accounts, via ACH. Uphold plans to shortly introduce similar automatic top-ups from debit and credit cards. So you can see they're already starting to think about it. And I just think this is a game changer right here. And what's going to happen is, like, this is why we talk about competition. Uphold, you can, like you said, you can set it for precious metals. If you want to buy platinum, you can buy platinum. If you want to buy a Tesla share, you can do that as well. So it's not like you're limited. But this whole smart order thing, Jeff, is just like, I think it's one of the coolest things. And it didn't really get a lot of fanfare. I was like, what? This is pretty cool. I mean, and I can see a lot of, there's a lot of people that are fans of it. I mean, Tapline is one of them, but a lot of people like Uphold, or you maybe like Binance, or you like, Binance.us, or you like, I don't know, anybody likes Coinbase, but anyway, you have a Coinbase account, it's like, so whatever it might be. But again, this is the next big thing. You know what's going to happen? I imagine a lot of people will follow suit. Let's see what kind of demand we get for it.
Yep. I think so. I think we're going to see a lot more. We're really seeing it's the trend. Now, the other part of this, with all of these things happening, is where we're at from a mainstream media perspective, right? So mainstream media has been pushing specific narratives. Now, I wanted to pull this up and see if we can play this real quick, because here's mainstream media talking about, how they could potentially regulate Bitcoin, but from a perspective that if they roll out the digital dollar, it's going to, put a heavier focus on investment in Bitcoin. And, in some way, shape, and form, I look at what these guys are saying, and I'm not sure if they are if they get it 100%, because there's so much emphasis on pushing this digital dollar that's programmable, and it's,
I don't care about the digital dollar.
It's not really so relevant.
Jeff, don't forget we have another video to play as well. So I want to make sure we get that one in.
All right, yeah, this one will be quick. I was trying to look at the time. but this will be quick. Let's do
Toss
this.
it up
Let's
there.
add
Let's
this.
check it out.
There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Ready?
Let's do it.
About Bitcoin is what I want is a digital dollar. I want a way to quickly transfer money to my friend in London, not have to pay an enormous vig if possible. And it would seem a digital dollar, a tethered dollar of some sort, would deal with a lot of those issues. How do you feel about things like a digital dollar, and would that reduce the popularity of Bitcoin and other digital currencies, at least partly? I know there's the crowd out there, you know, the libertarians and the people who are in other countries that are concerned about it, but for a guy like me,
Libertarians.
would that reduce the interest in Bitcoin?
So it's an interesting question, right? He's a guy like him. I don't know what that means. What is he a libertarian? Is he?
Well,
what does that mean? A guy like him?
Well, he goes after I know libertarians might be concerned about this, but I want to be able to send. Why would you be concerned about sending USD to your friend in London? Why wouldn't it be great if you could send USD and it would be converted and have it in 3 seconds and it would be the pound sterling? Look, I mean, when you're on air, you're trying to think of something clever to say. It doesn't really always work out, Jeff.
No, and he's talking about the tether, and he's looking at digital. Is it going to take away the excitement and in investment? Let's see how this guy responds. Let's see what.
Not at all. I actually think we take the opposite view. We're definitely seeing not only the digital dollar project underway, but also seeing a lot of other countries around the world getting into launching their own central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. I think that will not displace, or if anything, take or market share or compete with decentralized currencies like Bitcoin. And so I think it all trends towards the digitization of money, and something that investors and just your average person as well, who may not be in the investment market, can glom onto as well.
And do you think?
Why doesn't he say this? Look, first of all, I'm from Grayscale, and we are going to crush it. We are going to crush every damn bank out there because we've introduced so many cool funds that we are going to rule. I mean, quite honestly, Jeff, the whole conversation is kind of silly. It's like, let's all pretend that we need a digital dollar for what? You know what? You keep printing digital dollars. There's no fiat to back. There's no actual banknote to back up what they suppose. They don't print it. They just add it to a ledger. It's added to a computer. Now there's 4 trillion available, and there's 20 trillion available, whatever it might be. It's all a bunch of rubbish, Jeff. I think it's all silliness, but that's just.
It really is, man. I mean, as I look at this, and the Grayscale guy, he knows where things are going. He knows the direction.
He knows exactly.
And he's just, he's kind of look at this face. You look at the. It just so happens where we paused it, but he's just like, how am I going to respond to this guy? I mean, it's like,
yeah, when you're on TV, you got to be like,
yeah. He's like, how am I going to
answer, right?
How am I going to explain it to him so he understands what I'm about to say? It's like, no, but yeah, I guess the point is, check this out. This is on CNBC. They're talking about Bitcoin on a regular basis. They're going to start talking about all of the digital assets soon. The focus is on Bitcoin. Why? Because it was at 65,000. That was number one. Then it pulled back to 35,000. That's number two. The mainstream loved talking when it was going up to 65. They were fired. Look at that, 65,000. And now they get to talk about it pulled back 50%. It lost 50% of the value in the past, 30 days. It lost 50% of the value. But they never talk about how much further ahead the digital asset space is than any other industry right now. If we want to look at it a decade, pull back a decade, pull back a year, pull back 5 years, just keep pulling back, and you'll see that the numbers are just unbelievable. And the rapid development in the space, unbelievable. Mexico seems to be getting it too.
They're getting it in a big way. By the way, Jeff, so I thought I'd take the time right now. Every once in a while, we get a viewer or fan that takes the time to create something and sent this in. And this is from Sir John. Of course, I'm not going to be able to say his last name. I'm lucky I can barely say his first name, but this is Sir John, who's in the chat right now. This was taken at the mausoleum on the island of St. Andrew in front of the Rovinj and the Adriatic Sea. So this is a message. Thought this was pretty cool. And let's go ahead and listen to this. I hope the sound comes across all right. Let's listen to this.
All right.
If you look on the right side, you will see Srdjan appear almost aimlessly out of nowhere. Let's watch.
Hello, I'm Srdjan from Croatia. I just want to say hi to all of my OTC family, and I have a message for you.
Okay, so he wants to say hi to the OTC family. That's us. That's what we call you guys, the OTC family. He's got a message, and I think the message is right spot on. Let's listen in.
His volume is really low, so
The volume's a
gotta
little
turn it
low,
up.
so I hope you guys,
Yeah, so turn
I'll
it up
repeat it.
and try to hold back instead of
It's
just hold
turned up
back.
all
'cause
the way.
otherwise- Yeah, well, if you stop and say it, then your volume's gonna blow out
Yeah. So
everybody's.
I'm going to be quiet. So guys, roll up your volume, and then when it's done, you can roll it back down. Let's go.
Your investment in crypto, well, you might be laughed at, you might be ridiculed, but let me tell you, one day you will succeed, and then you will be able to laugh at them. It's very hard to do things by yourself, and it's very hard not to be understood by the people around you. But as Mama Cass once said, it may be rough going. Just to do your things are hardest things to do. So you've got to make your own kind of music, sing your own special song, make your own kind of music, even if nobody else sings alone. Well, I also hope that I have a new song for the OTC, not Lily Marlene anymore. I wish you all best, and I love you all. Srdjan from Croatia.
Yeah, Srdjan from Croatia. That was pretty cool, man. Thank you for creating that. And you're right. You know, you make your own music, you make your own special song, and regardless of what everybody else is doing, you have to do it, man. Thank you for creating that, Srdjan. What an amazing, lovely backdrop as well. So always thank you for thinking of the OTC family. But yeah, we might have to feature that one as well. We'll have to put a little cut of that in there. Maybe Lily Marlin is every once in a while, get that in there, because that's a crowd pleaser. But yeah, thanks for creating that, because you're pointing something out, is that, yeah, the people will laugh, they'll point now, but you know what? The great thing about the Jeff and I feel about this OTC family is we're like-minded, right? We're open to things. We believe in decentralization. We believe in freedom. We believe in power to the people. We believe in a lot of in empowering people to make their own financial decisions. We know what to do, and if we make the mistakes, let them be on us. So yeah, that's really good advice, Srdjan. Jeff, thoughts?
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate the fact that Srdjan, it's super uplifting. I mean, reaching out, a statement, to the rest of the on the chain community. The one thing that we've always said, is that you guys, are probably the smartest subscribers of any YouTube channel, sub base. We appreciate all of you guys. You guys have great conversations on the side as we're watching it. Great comments, great questions. You guys are absolutely, outstanding. And, if there were, close to 400 in the stream before, there's 350 right now. If you're brand new to On the Chain, make sure you hit the subscribe button, sub to the channel, hit the bell notifier. That way you get notified every time we post a brand new video. But the thing is, we stream 6 days a week, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a lot of great things planned for you guys as well as we move forward. Some big announcements for On the Chain that will be in the near future at some point. But then we also have some good guests that we're working on, bringing on here. So hopefully when we reach out to the Tampa mayor, she'll come on the show. We have a congressional representative candidate, or a candidate for Congress, that is going to be coming on with us in the near future. And then hopefully we'll get a number of other elected officials on as well to talk about digital assets. So it's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I want to say some praise from the OTC family. Nice, Srdjan. This is from Robert Morris. And then OTC rules. Thank you for that, Sir John. And what else we have here? Because DJ Jarvis, I love my cousin, but I can't wait to laugh at him. I don't know if that's really your cousin or just a comrade or, you know, whatever. It says, here we go right here. Thank you. I needed to hear that motivation. I'm surrounded by people who question me every day. Why are you doing this and that? Why? They're not getting it. So homie, that felt too. It's like, you're not alone, because that's why, you know, you come here, but you hang out in other too. This is a place we can gather and kind of talk about stuff, and we can mini workshop stuff, and we can sort of what else? Oh, here you go. Here's another one. HBI again. Great clip. Thank you. Tap says
There's another one for you right there.
Very inspiring.
Oh.
Luna the Alpha Wolf. Very inspiring. 3 hearts. I would have given him 4, but 3 is okay. You know, it's okay. It's
Three's right there. Crypt of Hyrule. It should be on us to choose our future as we take responsibility for ourselves. The SEC has proven they are not for us. They are for themselves. We're all big boys and girls. That's Crypt of Hyrule. Agreeing with you, Chip. 100%.
That's exactly right. And we tend to agree a little bit here. We tend to disagree, but that's okay. It's all good. You know, we're all family, and that's how families are. I've been told, like with my work colleagues, that one of them said, you know, you're kind of like that crazy uncle in the family. I was like, yeah, I'll take that, man. I'll take that as a compliment. Like, you know, because we talk about, you know, my colleagues and we have work family, and they're like, yeah, you're that crazy uncle. I'm like, maybe I am, you know, who knows? I would like, maybe crazy cousin would be better, but you know, what are you gonna do? I'll take it, man. But I want to thank you guys for coming in here, as always. And you know, we got a whole week planned, and we got, like Jeff said, we got some cool stuff coming up. And keep doing what you do. Don't give up on yourself, man. Reach your hand around here. Give yourself a pat on the back. Why? Because you took the shot. You took the shot, and you'll get the reward. That's all I have.
Awesome. And Rob McDermott was asking about another future virtual meetup. So we will plan one of those in the near future. We've been wanting to do that. So we're going to plan another virtual meetup, and maybe we'll get, you know, a nice guest speaker for that as well, as we always try to pull in an outstanding guest speaker. So we'll work on that to have somebody, that everyone will really appreciate. But really in those virtual meetups, it's all about everybody else hanging out and for us to meet everybody. And, you know, that's the point of it. And we get to do it, pull people from all over the world. So we'll plan another one of those here in the near future. But with that, Chip, I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to tomorrow already. Can't come 23 hours from now. We'll do it all over again. Guys, we'll see you on the next one. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.